Now we're going to make a more complicated example of spatial audio use. I've prepared a visual scene here, so I have 4 images that are going to represent bass, tenor, alto, and soprano voices. So for the basses, you can see that we've got Barry White representing the bass. For the tenors, Mr. Pavarotti, and Cher for the altos, that was all I could think of, and Mariah, the quintessential soprano. So I've created these images in a kind of semicircle in front of the viewer. You can see as we use the Rotate Page widget how those are laid out in front of the viewer. Let's look at it a little bit from the side to see a bit more. What we're going to do is tie 4 soundtracks to these 4 visual layers. The basses with Barry, the tenors with Pavarotti, etc. So within each one of these container layers, let's create a sound layer. So we've done that for the bass. Now let's do that for the tenors. That one's called Tenors Audio. Let's create an altos audio. And finally, open up the sopranos container and create a child layer called Sopranos Audio. Now we have our 4 sound layers. I have 4 audio tracks I've uploaded with soprano, alto, tenor, and bass spot mics singing the same song. We're just going to drop those into the sound layers. We're also going to set them all to be directional, and we're going to give them an angle of 90 degrees. This just means that if you're standing behind them, you will hear a much softer sound emanating from that visual object than if you're right in front of it. This simulates directional sound. So in the simple example we used before, we used omnidirectional sound. And to make this more interesting, we're going to make this directional sound. So now let's go ahead and play all of those audio layers. We're just going to create 4 effects at the same time. They're going to fade in at the start of this page. We fade in the audio layers. So the visual layers are seen from the beginning, and then the audio plays as soon as the timeline starts playing. So there are our 4 effects. If we go and play our timeline here, then we'll hear all 4 of those playing at once. Obviously, you won't be able to hear the spatial aspects of this in a video tutorial, but if you were listening to this in space, it would appear as though you had 4 separate sound sources, all with their own location and all with their own direction.